The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. It's Brian and Mr. Betcher for Breaking Down Security.
Hello.
Do not adjust your TV or favorite listening device. Miss Berlin is not here this week. She said she was camping. So, trying to, pack
So we're going
everything.
retro.
We're back to the original crew. And didn't want her to have to try to hurry home and get all that done. So, just gonna do a little bit here, and hopefully everybody will learn something, and we'll have her back next week. Hopefully we'll have our interview that we've got planned, and So how are you doing, Mr. Betcher? I know we talked about this for the show, but you're doing all right, yeah?
Yes, doing good. There's no smoke over here.
Yes.
Not chain smoke, but the forest smoke.
You're so lucky.
I guess you can go camping in Ohio, whereas if you wanted to go camping, probably not a good idea.
I'd need scuba gear or something. Yeah. I live up here in the midst of the Pacific Northwest. We got about as bad air quality as you can get. And actually, we did go out today. I had to go get my flu shot, which it's interesting. So I don't know. You can see it. Theater of the mind, y'all. It's a foam circle, a donut kind of thing with a little hole in the middle of it. And what they do is they stick the little needle through the plastic in the donut. And I looked down at that as they were sticking me, because I have an aversion to needles, y'all, and hence no tattoos. And the first thing I thought of was, some bastard is out there sucking Mai Tais down, making $1 billion because he figured out how to make a better Band-Aid, that protects, healthcare workers from bloodborne illness. I was just really surprised that they have this technology now, and I'm just at the point with my flu vaccine, the seasonal flu vaccine, that my arm's starting to ache. So I love having to get shot with a needle in the arm every year or two. So yeah, it's good.
So
times.
They put the Band-Aid first.
Yeah.
Then they stick you through the Band-Aid.
Yeah, little alcohol wipe, and then she stuck the needle right through the little donut right in the middle, and I was like, wow, I could have made $1 million idea. It's like all these things I'm writing down for my DeLorean list. Go back in time, invent better Band-Aid. Right, okay.
That's right.
Yeah, there's so many little things that you're like, damn, I wish I'd have thought of that. So yeah. But hopefully we're recording this on the 13th of September, but we're under an air quality warning until the 14th. And it's very unhealthy air. It's like 270 right now for me, so 300 is considered hazardous. I don't know what that means, if it's like, your lungs fill with ash or something like that. I don't know, but
cancer cells start to multiply in your lungs. Things like that.
That's not fun. Yeah, that would be kind of awful. Yeah. We thankfully we have air conditioning, and we have a HEPA filter, and all of our windows are shut. So all of our cars are in our garages, so we don't have to worry about going out into this. But I really I completely understand for all the folks that can't make it out of their homes because they're under quarantine for the COVID stuff. Not being able to go out and walk, even with a mask on. I don't want to say stir crazy, but I definitely feel the insideness starting to permeate my mental stability. So I'm hoping tomorrow that it'll be better and I can get out and take another walk or two. So, but yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do a little news this week, as per usual, and it's not all InfoSec, but hope everybody can learn something from these things. So let's do the ZDNet one first. I say ZDNet, sorry. It's for US folk it's ZDNet, but for non-US folk it's ZDNet. IRS, which is the Internal Revenue Service for the United States, is offering grants to contractors to trace privacy-focused cryptocurrency trades. And the tagline is grants of up to $625,000 will be issued in exchange for cryptocurrency tracking technologies. So the IRS wants your money, y'all, fake or no. So they said the IRS solicitation was made public last week, reported by Cointelegraph, and has been made on behalf of the IRS Criminal Investigation Department. Surprisingly, they're saying that money laundering programs, trafficking rings, and dark web marketplaces are being used as ways of using Bitcoin and escaping paying your taxes. So virtual
like
coins.
laundering.
Right. Well, yeah, it's the new way of money laundering.
So I don't understand how this works, because if I were to receive a gift from someone, doesn't that show up somewhere? Bank accounts, things like that. In order to use that money, somehow it has to be reported. And this this may be related to the talk that's going around that we may be going to a digital currency. In other words, not necessarily Bitcoin, but some type of currency that tracks you, not cash, but to a cashless society, so that, if the government wanted to tax you, they would just take it right out of your currency.
Right. Well, okay. So let's say you never use cash. It's all credit cards. It's all NFC payments. It's all touchless. It's all contactless. Excuse me. Is that not digital? Isn't that not non-traditional fiat type currency where dollars and presidents with dead presidents with heads on paper and stuff?
Yes, but I think it would change somehow to where I don't know that much about it. I don't know enough to sound like I know what I'm talking about.
No,
let's just put it that way.
That's fine. And there's a lot of folks out there that think that Bitcoin and Ethereum and Monero, and which they mentioned in this article, are more private. And I think that there's been papers out there that have shown that these are not exactly as private as they believe they are. You can actually run through the blockchains of those various ones and track, at least not by name, but by Bitcoin account, yes, those different systems.
Like any type of crypto, the crypto itself is public,
right?
Knowledge,
right?
If you want to know how to shop or encrypt something with now I'm trying to name a crypto. I was going to say SHA-256, but that's not crypto.
Like AES or something like that?
AES-256, yes.
Yeah.
Triple DES.
Right.
The instructions are there.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. But, and that's how you can track crypto.
Yep.
But I think what the grant would be for is when you take it from the cryptocurrency into some other form of payment, like you convert it to a currency.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it says, according to all solutions must support cryptocurrency transactions that occurred in 2020. Proposal reads, all solutions must support open standards for interoperability, common file formats, REST APIs, etc. as appropriate to facilitate easy integration into internally developed IRSCI, which is IRSCI is Criminal Investigation Department. So they want to be able to track that. So to your point that they're moving towards a digital currency that can be tracked, which I would argue that we already have one if we're only using credit cards or contactless payment that's tied to any credit cards or whatever. For those of you who aren't aware, here in the U.S., we actually have they're saying there's a shortage on coins, and they're requiring everybody to pay with either bills or with credit cards. The only time I ever go to the ATM anymore is if I'm going down to my local dispensary for some herbal refreshment, because they don't take credit cards right now, because banks and the government will not allow them to. Which is kind of sad, but yeah, they're There's a company called CipherTrace says they've claimed to have developed a Monero tracking tool for the Department of Homeland Security. The idea is Monero tracking is important because a lot of criminals are now using Monero payments in their ransomware. So, instead of give us 3.2 Bitcoin, it's, give us 500 Monero or whatever. So, I think this is important. I like the idea that they want open standards for interoperability. I think there's a lot of organizations out there that could, take a page from this. There's not a lot of ways of having, common file formats or, some kind of, way of transferring data in a way that can be ingested in multiple places. So I think that's important and good to see. My thing is, it's like there's a lot of folks that enjoy cryptocurrencies, but maybe don't want to help the U.S. government track these things. So I wonder what kind of organization would want to get involved with this, especially if it's security professionals who worry about privacy concerns at the same time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to actively defeat the privacy of the cryptocurrencies. Like them or hate them, that's one of the biggest sells of using them. So maybe this grant that is being published is a way to show, that they're, these cryptocurrencies need to figure out better ways of, not being able to be tracked. So it's one of those arms races where it's like, okay, we figured out how to track you. Now we're going to have to, the bad guys or the people who use Bitcoin or whatever is going to have to find ways of making sure they can't be tracked anymore. So,
Yeah, and I think there's some good things about this as well. If you like the last paragraph earlier this week, cryptocurrency exchange Etherbase disclosed a security incident in which $5.4 million was stolen, allegedly. The organization said the lost cryptocurrency, including Bitcoin, Ether, and Ripple, was held in hot wallets.
mm-hmm.
A hot wallet is a place where they store it with an active internet connection. So
Right.
once these things are gone, they're gone.
Right.
And
yeah.
go for it.
Well, the other thing is, I could definitely see the IRS saying, well, okay, and some of the stories that I thought of us doing this week was about ransomware. I heard about a New Hampshire school district that started back to school and immediately got hit with ransomware. You've got organizations out there that are getting hit with ransomware, on a regular basis, and the only way to get your money back is to have a third party pay the bad guys, or you take your chances and you pay the bad guys yourself. And now you're out $500,000, but how do you follow the money trail to be able to get back to figure out and make your cases about who the bad guys are? So I could see why they would want the ability to track that, because, hey, we want to be able to get the ransomware people and prosecute them in whatever way, shape, or form that is. I could see this being used for good, but I could also see it being used for very, very bad as well. So, I think I'll probably try to keep an eye on this story to see if it develops any further, or if anybody adds anything to the discussion online about it. But just another example of how something like this could be used for very good, but obviously our first thought was to go to the very bad spot where it was like, okay, you're getting rid of privacy controls, you're getting rid of the ability to make transactions without paying or without being known who's doing that stuff. So yeah,
And cool. Who doesn't like privacy, right?
That
possibly governments.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. Yeah. All right, so we did that one. All right, so why don't you introduce the next one here, the one up top?
Oh, let me pull the sheet up. The hacker weapons.
Yeah. Well, not right. Hacker weapon.
What?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I bolded the ones that I thought we would go through, but I like that one too.
Cool tools.
Yeah, we can do cool tools.
Okay, so I started. Okay, so you gave me this link, and I started going down. Okay, I know what that one is. Okay, I know what that one is. And then I was like, how many are there? So I dumped it in a spreadsheet, and there's 93 of them.
Oh my. Okay.
So I was thinking to myself, okay, I'm not going to go through all of these.
No, no, we don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
just in preparation. But
hmm.
there are a crap ton of tools,
Yep.
and a lot of these I'd never heard of.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, there's some things at work that I would very much like to explore some of these tools that find an organization's websites
Hmm.
because I need that.
Right.
I- Even as a defender, when I'm told, "Oh, okay, here's our external sites,"
Right.
but then you trust but verify,
Hmm.
right? So you
Right.
take that as the baseline, and then you see if you can easily find if they missed something,
Yep.
right? If they don't have good asset management, they may not know that, Bob set up another site 10 years ago and nobody's maintaining it and we just don't know about it,
Hmm.
right? And Bob's left the company, and probably no one even realizes that that site is up. And I've had that happen more than once.
Right. Right. Yeah, so they kind of start off with what's called an Army knife, being the Swiss Army knife. There's they have Burp Suite, of course, the OWASP Zap, Z Attack Proxy Core Project, and then they have ones under Discovery. I didn't know what Discovery was, and I'm sitting here Discovery, yes, yes, that makes more sense. Not Discovery. I was like, what the hell is Discovery? They have various crawlers like Photon. It says an incredibly fast crawler designed for OSINT. A lot of enumeration for DNS, DNS dumpster, security trails, DNS probe, HackRev DNS, small fast tool for performing reverse DNS lookups en masse. Shuffle DNS is a wrapper for mass DNS. Sublister, I've used Sublister before. It's very nice. Uh, and a lot of these tools, of course, are fast because you're on an engagement. You're being told, hey, we have this list of IP addresses, or we have this domain, and we want you to test this. And what does our external footprint look like? I'm sure some of you are nodding your head. Yes, we've had several where it's like, oh yeah, we gave you this list of IP addresses or this URL list, and that's all that we have. That's everything. And then you start running something like Sublister or Ghost Spider, or, whatever, and you find, oh no, we have like 15 other ones that you didn't even know you had. And oh great, okay. And there's test domains, or somebody's exposed a test environment to the internet. And like any good company, you use production data in your test environment to make sure your testing works properly. And yeah, you find all kinds of stuff. But yeah, they go down here, of course, Shodan, Mass Scan, Nmap, the oldies but the goodies. They have various
They have
scanners. Go ahead.
they have over 30 discovery tools, including Vuln, URL.
Yeah.
I don't even know what TKOV is. TKOV.
TCOV. Oh no, I've never used that one before.
Port, HTTP, GET, fuzz, domain, DNS, crawl,
Yeah.
and then just a generic. Let
Yeah.
me just select TKOV.
I like.
Subdomain takeover tool written in Go.
Okay. All right. So
Subdomain takeover.
I don't know why, but I love this site. It's called kitploit.com, kitploit.com. They always have a lot of great stuff. They always have like new tools every week. Whoever runs this, site must scour GitHub like a crazy person, just making these articles, and they install them, and then they run and give you a little how to's on how to use the various switches for these items. There's a GraphQL one here too. GraphQL Map is a scripting engine to interact with GraphQL endpoints for pen testing purposes. I'm seeing a lot more of that where we're working. We're seeing a lot more in the way of GraphQL for engagements, and understanding that is important.
So
Osmodeus, go ahead.
the rule is, and this was back in 96, 97, when I was in college, and a professor told the class once, if you need to accomplish some task, chances are thousands of other people have had to do that same task
Mm-hmm.
before,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? So in theory, there would be something on the internet that was written to accomplish that task. So
Oh yeah.
if you need something, just keep in mind that someone's already probably needed that before, and they wrote a script or some sort of a tool to accomplish that task. Just duck, duck, go it.
Right.
Go to this site if you need some sort of a thing for security,
Yep.
and it's probably there
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. Yeah. The only caveat, and a lot of testers will tell you this: don't just download something and just run it. You know, um, I don't know how many people have ran SQL Map and crashed websites, because they've, done something stupid and just, turned it up to full blast and done that. Or, take the time to, in your off time, to go through some tools. If you're used to using the same tool all the time, so let's say you're a big fan of using XSSer, XSSER, I've used that one a little bit. Don't day one of an engagement go, oh yeah, I'm going to download some kind of online tool thing from this list and just run it, because it may do things to your customer's environment that you don't even know what they did, or it might cause denial of service or something. That's the last thing you want to do. So you want to run this on a VM, maybe figure out if it has extended logging, check and see if, it does anything to, if you're running on Docker or you're running it on an S3 bucket or something. You want to run this against your own test environments to see what it does, for instance. Or if it's in Go or if it's in Python or something and you have an affinity to those, open it up and see what it does in that respect. You know, uh, you never know, it might actually be doing call outs to a website at the end of testing. Oh yeah, it sends all this telemetry, which equals logs or whatever, to this website, and you're like, well, okay, I didn't actually want this to send data to this place. Or it makes, if you're trying to be not noisy, this may actually cause a lot of web application logs or something like that. So take a look, make sure you look through the readmes, look through if it's a GitHub site with the tool, make sure you're looking at the issues that are raised there. If you got 500 posts on a GitHub site and they're saying, well, if I do X, Y, and Z, it crashes WordPress sites. Well, maybe you don't want to run this on your upcoming engagement that's nothing but WordPress sites or what have you. So yeah, just,
And you can always upload it to VirusTotal just to make sure
oh yeah,
that it's not, my favorite is FTPzilla.
oh
Just make
yeah,
sure it's not another FTPzilla out there.
yeah. Yeah, that's very true. But yeah, there's 90 new tools here, and so the website is in the show notes, and it does have a usage. It shows you add tools, and it shows you the usage and how everything works. So take some time to go through that. And but yeah, Kitploit. If you are a red teamer or a pen tester, I find myself looking at their site a lot to understand all the various tools that are available, not just for web applications, but for network, fuzzing, reverse engineering, everything. So maybe there's already a tool out there and you don't need to build it yourself. So that's good thought.
So real quick, we have one from eHacking News, Hackers
Uh-huh.
Attack Gaming Industry.
Right.
Just quickly, yes, this has been happening for a while. I think we've talked about these kinds of attacks before.
Mm-hmm.
They take, apparently $1 billion industry.
Right.
Who knew? I don't do online games, but basically attackers will steal items in the game and sell them in real life,
Sure.
right? So they'll
Yeah.
steal things within the game and then sell them for fiat currency, if you will.
Yeah. Well, that's not new. I mean, when I was playing Diablo 2 back when I was in back in turn of the century, being the year 2000, they had auction houses or side websites where you could go, and like Stones of Jordan and all these things were, you could trade them for real money. And then EverQuest, I think it was EverQuest, you could go and trade things for money. Eve Online, I think, was selling ships and items for in not just in-game currency, but like real currency as well. So it definitely makes sense. I think they made a mistake here on the website. It says, according to reports, Roblox, RuneScape, Fortnite, of course, everybody does the Fortnites, and Minecraft are responsible for generating $700 annually. I think they meant $700 million annually.
Yes.
And yeah, and then of course stolen Fortnite player accounts are making up to $1 million annually. That's not chump change. I don't do Fortnite. I don't understand all of it. Overwatch is another one of those, all those esport games. My daughter does a little bit of Minecraft, but yeah, I just don't have time for that kind of fun. So one thing I would say is, if you're a parent and listening to this, make sure that you're telling your children who are spending more than a little bit of time on it to secure their accounts. I'm hoping Fortnite has two-factor auth and on their accounts, but let me go see Fortnite. Does your kids do the Fortnite?
No.
No.
No, they don't do the online gaming. My kids
Yeah.
are nerds. They play online chess sometimes. So yeah.
Easy there. Online chess. Whoa. Do they have analog chess sets? With like where they can touch the pieces themselves, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually
All right.
made a chess table.
Really?
Yeah. And
That's
so
nice.
I bought the pieces. They're
Uh-huh.
3 or 4 inches tall, and
Yeah.
then yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I've always wanted to do that. I've got a bunch of rocks from pretty much all over the world. I've got like marble and granite from France, because when you go on vacation, you do walking tours or something. You pick up stuff off the ground. So
Right.
I've got some really nice white rocks from when we did the Rhine River cruise last year. Kind of looks very much like granite. If we didn't turn them into a countertop, I thought, maybe you could find some way to file those down or turn them into, figurines or something that you could, make out of those. But yeah. So yeah, Fortnite does have multi-factor auth, like real multi-factor auth, not like SMS two-factor or anything like that. Of course, you've got the problem where Fortnite can be played on your phone, and if you're using your phone and the 2FA on your phone, is it really two-factor? They use Google LastPass, Microsoft Authenticator, Authy, so pretty much anything you want to use. So
Yeah, some of these games are interesting. Like, there used to be hacks where you could create coins. Like, maybe there was an error in the game, so people
right.
could create a coin. And then the economics of the game, which is really like real life economics, the currency was destroyed because of inflation.
Right. Yeah. The other thing is duping. If you can find a way to make dupes or find ways to cause conditions where the application causes errors in transactions, so that you can make a transaction successful but keep the original one. I remember Diablo 2 had something very similar to that, where you you could duplicate a lot of stuff, and they had to nuke that fairly quickly. The biggest issue that I've had with two-factor auth systems is using things like Google Auth or Microsoft Auth, and then I change phones. Which means if I've got 25 two-factor, second-factor auth accounts inside of Google Authenticator, I now have to log into 25 different websites to, re-register or register a new device and unregister the old device. So Yeah, I've actually gotten rid of Google Auth, which is what I was using before. I use one called Aegis now, which allows you to export your settings, your 2FA settings, securely, so that you can move between devices a lot easier. Because I do between work and personal, I have roughly about 25 different ones, and it would be nightmarish to have access to all of those every time you change a phone, or I like to flash my phone with the different ROMs, so I'd lose all of that data if I didn't. So, but yeah, tell your kids, use the 2FAs, help them understand why it's important. If they've spent all that time getting their characters up to X number of levels, that's the other thing. It's like, oh yeah, I've spent several hundred hours getting my character up to epic level status, and it's like, oh, I've lost it, and somebody's going to pay $300 on the dark web for it. So explain that to your kid when they lose their account, so which you don't want to. So I'm saying try to teach them to be success, tell them their hard work is worth a lot of money. They should do whatever they can to protect it. So find ways to teach them about that. So
Yeah, my kids will lose their ratings. That's about as much as they can lose.
Easy over there, chess master. Easy. Yeah.
You could get that back in like 10 games, so no
Wow.
biggie.
Goodness. Yeah. Let me see.
Well,
Yeah,
uno
Microsoft.
mas.
Yeah, one more. Well, one and a half more. So, Microsoft put out a note saying, Adobe's Flash into support, 31 December 2020. Yay, Flash is dead, except in all those old legacy technologies that, still use it. Like,
I thought it was dead 2 years ago.
You would think that, wouldn't you? But there's a lot of software out there that still uses Flash support. Learning management systems, for example. I think I saw a Twitter thread online. I think Frank McGovern on Twitter was talking about, I've got healthcare systems that are still using Flash. There's still a lot of technology, a lot of legacy technology out there that's going to be using Flash for a few years to come. So
maybe the learning stuff too. What was that learning platform that we had for the kids? They have the commercials. TV. What is that?
I do not remember. I know that my daughter has Schoology, which is her learning management system, but I don't know if it has Flash on it or not. So
yeah, I know one of them that we used a long time ago used Flash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we talked to Nathan McNulty and April Murdoch and them, and she had told us during the interview with them. You can find it in our RSS feed about 6-8 months back, I think. Talking about having to support Flash and Java and shit. I'd love Java to go away, to be honest. I don't want to have Java on desktop, but I did make the comment that the only reason I have Flash or Java on my systems anymore is to run Burp or OWASP Zap, because they still run in Java. So yeah, might want to start thinking about how to isolate those systems that require the use of Flash for the future. Maybe move the systems that move to some VMs or something, or find some way to isolate those devices behind a secure in a secure network. Make sure that they don't phone home, because Microsoft says that the new Edgeium, which is the Edge Chrome builds, are not going to. It's going to be turned off. You have to enable it per site. So that will be interesting. You'll have some definite user issues on January 1 or before that. So let your help desk know the best ways to make those changes or enable only certain sites that need Flash. I'm going to miss Elf Bowling. Anyway, all right. So our last one here. So we have a book club, which we'll talk about a little bit. But on our Slack, we have a book club that meets, and we started a new one, and it's on change management using what's called the ADKAR method. And I saw this article on LinkedIn, which I'm actually surprised, because I don't normally see a lot of things from LinkedIn that I actually read. And It's actually published in 2018, but it's from Paula Alsher, who's the VP of Client Solutions at Implement Management Associates, talking about the intersection of change management and project management. And so when most people, at least in our industry, think of change management, I know Mr. Betcher said the same thing. Well, what do you think change management was for you?
Well, if you have to put in a new firewall rule,
Right.
that's change management.
It is a type of change management.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So when she means the intersection of change management and project management, change management is at the organizational level, not at the tactical or operational levels. It's all about how you scope your change management. And for those of you who've been listening, I went through this course at ProSci called Change Management, Organizational and Enterprise Change Management, and learned quite a bit about how and why changes work or don't work or why they fail. And we did a book club with this, and we're already getting some very positive feedback about that. Let me see, I got one piece of feedback said, "Got to say I'm enjoying the book. It has my mind moving in so many directions. Our team's change initiatives and desires, agency level initiatives, and other change leaders in our org and their tools and techniques, successes and failures." So one of the things that this ADKAR book teaches you is ways to ensure that you're setting yourselves up for a more positive and more impactful change. Sounds very not exciting, obviously. I know some of you who love popping them shells and using them burps is like, yeah, I don't really care. So my point is you have to think the long game on some of these changes you want to make in your organizations. And the LinkedIn article, she said, according to a blog, 25% of technology projects fail outright. 20 to 25% don't show any return on investment, and 50% need massive rework by the time they're finished. And I would argue, why is that? Well, that's because people don't think about who is going to be helping to implement that change. It says reports $122 million is wasted for every $1 billion invested due to poor project performance, which is a 12% increase over 2015. This was, of course, written in 2012 or 2018, so it's been almost 2 years. So I'd love to get some more metrics on that. But one of the mistakes they see is when an organization finally decides to utilize change, they do it as an add-on to a project. So much like security, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to do, insert cool project here. Oh yeah, we need to probably, do security at the end, which is why projects fail or mistakes that we have in our environments. The idea is to go live, and then we start thinking about the stuff at the back end, which for most of you working in security is de rigueur for what we see in our organizations. It's like, okay, we've launched the product, now it needs to be secure, which is, in my opinion, already too late. And that's why we've started initiatives about trying to move security as far left as possible in our DevOps environments and what have you. So the article from LinkedIn has an OODA loop, if you will, one that talks about plan, implement, and monitor. Sorry, I think I got a little tightness in my chest from the air quality. So one of the things that they start talking about is assessing the climate, assessing whether or not your organization is resistant to those changes. Creating sponsorship. In this case, sponsorship is the person or people that are going to help you implement that change. If you are the one...
Yeah, that's important.
Really?
You have to have, super important, you have to have buy-in for these projects, right? You can't just go solo and expect people to fall in line in the middle.
Right.
It's very important to establish those relationships and make people feel like they're involved from the very beginning or before it even starts.
Right.
That's very important.
Well, it's not just buy-in from management. They have to champion the change. They have to be the ones who say, okay, we're going to make this change because we need to. And they have to be engaged and involved. And one of the things you learn in that class is roughly 70% of projects fail because the people who want the change or are championing the change are not involved or engaged in such changes. So, you've got your boss and he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Go ahead and make that happen. And then you never see him again until the end of the project when it fails. And he's like, well, why didn't this work? Well, I don't have the ability to tell people to make that change. I can, set up process all damn day. But if they don't embrace it, if people don't have the awareness and desire to want to make those changes aren't going to happen. And a lot of times management or a sponsor needs to do that. And one of the things I learned in that class was to create diagrams that show me who's resistant, who isn't resistant, who can help make that change. You may think that this person is actually a good sponsor for the change, but the change that you're wanting to implement affects that person's group and another person's group. So you can't make person A the change monitor. You have to actually maybe go above person A and person B's head to their boss so that they can communicate the change down. I've talked, I think, during the book club, I had said, sometimes we assume that we have power. And one of the things I learned in this ProSci class was that I don't have as much power as I thought I did. Even in an org where, you've been given carte blanche, some people have different thoughts about you, or, if you're not inside their chain of command, you're causing them extra work, and you have to figure out what motivates them to want to do those changes. So
yeah. It's human nature to think that, though.
Right. Sure. Apologies. There's football on. It's also U.S. NFL first weekend. So that's my wife, whom I love, cheering for somebody. Anyway. So yeah, I'm, talking about generating sponsorship, determining how we're going to make those changes. So you have to create a change plan, target readiness, understanding who's going to be affected by those changes. And you build a communication plan. How do I tell them they're going to make those changes? And as a change manager or project manager or somebody who wants these changes into place, you may have to help the sponsor with the messaging. To say, okay, we're looking at doing X, Y, and Z. If we do X, Y, and Z, we don't have to worry about all these other processes, or it'll speed up, it'll make it faster for us to deploy software, for instance, or it'll help us be faster in rolling out releases for projects or something like that. And then when, the person who actually is the sponsor can communicate that down, it makes it a lot easier to put those pieces into place. So, like Mr. Betcher's chessboard, you got to move your pieces onto the board in such a way as to make the end game possible.
Yep. Interesting. 25% of technology projects fail.
Right.
25%.
Right. They fail outright.
Completely fail.
Sure. That's because somebody thought, and that's the other thing that we see as an industry. We tend to throw technology at problems, when, to be fair, a lot of our problems are probably process or people issues. And throwing a box at it is not necessarily what needs to be done. And you should probably look at that when you're gathering requirements for something. Why do we need a SIM? Well, because we need to gather logs. Well, why do we need to gather logs? Well, because the compliance people said we needed to. Why did the compliance people say we needed to? Well, PCI says blah. Okay. That's, and you can keep saying why until you get down to your most basic requirements. They call them the 5 whys, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I don't like to get political, but the election is coming up here in the U.S., and a lot of people, especially at Vegas, the Black Hat and DEF CON had villages about voting machines and how easy it was to hack a voting machine. And now the mail-in ballots are all the big thing. And it's like, well, that doesn't require a lot of technology at all. That's just a new process or a modification of a process that doesn't require a technical answer. And yet we're still trying to find organizations and companies out there that are trying to embrace a technical solution using things like the blockchain and what have you. And something as simple as a mail-in ballot is arguably better than any other Diebold machine or whatever voting machine out there that we have. So, and again, mail-in ballots are controversial in itself, depending on which side of the aisle in the U.S. you're on. So I will not, I won't go any further on that. So, but I will go further by suggesting that if you are interested in understanding how to enact change in your environment, this is not an InfoSec book, but it will help you, I think, at all levels of your career. You can join us on our Slack, and you can go buy the book at Amazon. If you go to breaksec.com/adkar, ADKAR, you can buy a book on Amazon. You can buy the ebook, and they actually have a couple of used books on Amazon that are going for less than $10. And it's a really easy read. It's 146 pages, I think. So we're not going to take very long running through this, but it was just kind of a palate cleanser, if you will, from the previous book where we had, I think it went about 4.5 months on AWS pen testing. And it was a really bit of a hard slog to go through that book, I hear. So, but if you're interested in joining us on that book club, get an invite from us, join our Slack, and join our book club. So there you go. Mr. Boettcher, I think we're done. So
I think so too.
Yeah, tell us what's going on with you. Somebody online on Twitter this week, I mentioned you and LogMD. Actually, somebody else mentioned IMF Security, but I mentioned that you were the head developer of LogMD. Did they ever get back to you on that?
I don't know. Depends on who it was.
You got to be on the Twitters, man.
I mean, okay. I'll check.
Well,
I'll check, man.
Somebody was looking for. Damn, where is it? Let's see. Anyway, so while I'm doing that, Ms. Berlin, you can find Ms. Berlin. She's doing a lot of stuff. InfoSec Detect and Defense tabletops. She's starting to do those virtually now. Before, when we were all in MeetSpace, she was setting up those to do them at conferences. The last couple that she's done really, really well. So if you are interested in having incident response tabletops with some 20-sided dice, feel free to hit her up on at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR. She also has a nonprofit that is trying to confront the stigmas of mental health issues in the InfoSec community, which, to be fair, all of us need that right now, even myself, to be fair, with the cabin fever I'm feeling, not being able to go out and walk. It can definitely start, I need to go out and take about a 5-mile walk, which I've been doing for the last 100+ days, but I can't do that. And I'm starting to, feel a little antsy. So if you suffer from depression, or, you want somebody to talk to, she's got a Slack dedicated to mental health issues. The BreakSec has a mental health Slack channel as well. But, we obviously there's people who are more, ours is more of a general type topic, so there's a specific one for her. You can check her at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR, and I think it's Hackers Health on Twitter as well. So, Mr. Boettcher, tell people about what LogMD is while I find those tweets.
Oh, I found the tweets.
Oh, you
anyway,
did?
LogMD, malicious log malicious and discovery tool, which helps you log the right things. And we also have a little bit of hunting going on there.
Cool.
File system, registry, all kinds of things like that help you discover bad things in your environment.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, check it out.
Very nice. By the way, you didn't. How did the cookies go over at the house?
Awesomely. I don't know how many there were, but I had 3, and that's about it.
You had more people in your house, so
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't follow on Twitter, I had mentioned Pinckney Cookies, which was a company that here in the Seattle area. My company sent some care packages out with an assortment of cookies. They have things like chocolate chip and snickerdoodle, and a bourbon spice cookie, which is actually really, really good. And I sent some to Ms. Berlin. I sent some to Mr. Boettcher. I sent you 18 cookies, so you ate 1/6 of the cookies in the bit there. But I just wondered how they went over at the house.
Very well.
Okay, They're very good though. Yeah.
And thanks for the advice on the microwave. That made it much better.
Yes, yes, they do. They do ship well. They don't have any preservatives in them, so if you aren't going to eat all 18 of them at the time, they freeze really well. Actually, finished up the last couple I had, but yeah, putting them in the microwave for about 5 to 10 seconds on 50% power melts that inside just enough that it tastes really good. So I sent 12 to Miss Berlin because she has less people in the house. So, but yeah, I sent you 18 and her 12. It's not because I love you more. It's just, I wanted to make sure that somebody got at least one or two. So, anyway, Pinckney Cookies, they're a black-owned business, and they also make donations every time you make an order. So if you go to lovethesecookies.com, they don't sponsor the show, but they're just a damn good cookie. So you need to go buy some. So, and they ship all over the U.S. So if you're interested in getting some cookies for Christmas, or next Friday's coming up, so you could you call that Cookie Day or whatever. Anyway, so let's see. BreakSec Slack, like I've mentioned before, we have a lot of channels on there, all the way from mental health to pen testing and red teaming. We have news of the day. We have a blue team channel. We have a sim and logging channel. We have a book club. We have an education channel with all kinds of webinars and content from Serial Pony on Twitter. So much going on there. So you can join our Slack by sending us a DM on Twitter at BreakSec, which is our official Breaking Down Security podcast Twitter. And just ask to join the Slack, or you can send us an email at bds.podcast@gmail.com. And you can follow me on Twitter at BryanBrake, BryanBrake. And let me see. Thank you to all of our patrons. Their money goes to help with hosting costs, domain registration, which just came up again. Cost me $150 for another 2 years of breakingsecurity.com, which is our website. Every little bit helps. We considered our tip jar. You don't have to give. The podcast is always free, but we appreciate a couple of bucks here or there every month, and spread the word about the podcast. We'd love to have new people every time. Sometimes I get invites. Hey, I'd love to join the Slack. I found out about the podcast from Jim or whoever, Katie or whatever. So we appreciate all the feedback on all the various podcasting platforms, and I think that was it for the show this week. Have a great week. Thank you, Mr. Betcher, for joining me.
Anytime.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great week. Stay out of the smoke. If you're on the West Coast, stay out of the smoke. I'm going to try to do that for the next 36 hours. And I'm going to go and take a 10-mile walk, I think, because I need it. Take care of yourselves, because you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.